Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's video I will be sharing with you 7 of my favorite houses. These projects will probably be new to most of you and they all have different concepts, so surely there'll be something for everyone. So let's get started. I started with these projects alphabetically, however this would still be the best of the best in my eyes. I found it 3 years ago and every time I look at it, it just inspires me. It's a simple volume with an exquisite choice of materials, form, and layout. Cabin 2 is an extension to an existing 1960s log cabin, and the clients have asked for a new self-contained retreat to allow extended visits to the existing cabin from family members and guests. The architect's strategy was to distinguish the new addition from the original cabin, enabling new and old identities to be preserved and articulated. The new architecture is informed by and embedded into the landscape, and what sells the project to me is that folding roof that just grows out from the topography. And then this interior space and how the structural timber frame is fully exposed both inside and out to convey both a structural and architectural integrity. The organization seems so simple, but with the materials, the exposed structural element and lighting, it manages to add complexity to this house, which is a great lesson to be taken. I think this is the simplest project on the list in terms of form. However, I am very fond with using planes in architecture such as the works of Frank Lloyd Wright and Mies van der Rohe. The design concept for this house was to create a modern yet humble, low-maintenance retreat, which would also provide a sense of shelter at once, but also a sense of transparency and land interaction. The approach was to create simple forms that unfold into the environment, providing in each room a specific connection with the site. On a cantilevered platform providing views for the river and sunset, the living room extends west into the tree canopy. The simple retreat is a pleasant escape from the city, a balance of simple, clean lines and rough, low-maintenance materials. If you love this type of architecture as much as I do, I would highly recommend MW Works for further project inspiration and visuals. They create the most beautifully hand-drawn plans with amazing organizations.
We were interested with the Cork House to try and radically simplify the wall and to try and make an entire house out of 2 plant-based materials.
This is the newest addition to my favorites list. My instructor had sent this project to me a few days before our presentation, and she couldn't have sent it at a better time. You may recognize the beehive roof from my exploded construction video, which I will have in the cards for you to check out. This project has won a few awards and was shortlisted for the RIBA Sterling Prize in 2019. The building's entirely cork structure with solid structural cork walls and roof. And for that reason, it has extraordinarily low carbon life, and it's possible to reuse or recycle all of its components. The exposed cork and oak flooring, they capture the light internally and just create a sensory experience that is wonderfully tranquil. The skylights open in the summer to bring a sense of lightness to the space and the interiors, and to radiate a feeling of warmth and protection in the winter. I think the highlight of this building lies within the structural ease of assembly, as the whole house is designed for de-assembly. I think that is where the construction industry is headed, because with everything that is happening with the environment, it is our job to produce eco-friendly buildings for a better future. Every time I need to design a house, the Dune House is always my point for inspiration. You can probably tell that I love sculptural architecture because to me, they just create the most exciting spaces, and the Dune House is no exception. Half sunk into the ground, the Dune House rises above the terrain, presenting a breathtaking view of the North Sea. The natural forces, the sea, the sunlight, and the local wind patterns in the environment specify the design in such a way as if they had carved the house themselves. This concern for the landscape also translated into the option of a construction method using modular prefabricated wooden panels, previously built using BIM technology, which allowed the construction time to be significantly reduced. The extensive use of wood, the introduction of passive methods to avoid any unnecessary heat gains and losses, paired with self-generation energy through solar panels and a fireplace running biomass, makes this a rather eco-friendly design with a low environmental footprint. The concept of having different platforms connected in a staircase, I think it can be applied to any project. And I think that the best part of this project for me is that large angular window, as it really changes all of the other spaces around it, and it just seems as such a simple solution to transform your designs into something spectacular. In an extremely generic and industrialized world, this house is a hidden gem. It is tuned to the uniqueness of a location in the landscapes of Central Texas. The design is inspired by the vernacular of the pit house, one of the oldest housing typology. This approach addresses the climate of Central Texas and utilizes thermal capacity of the earth to regulate temperature, while the linear courtyard down the center allows fresh air to flow. But it's also a theater for observing migrating hummingbirds, monarch butterflies, and even ants. In the pursuit for heightening one's awareness of nature in an urban setting, the architects have collaborated with the Ladybird Wildflower Center to introduce over 40 native species of wildflower and grass to preserve the local ecosystem. I think the architects created a dynamic solution to pit houses, and many lessons can be taken from the project, such as the correct way to use angles in plan. This can also be applied to curved walls, as both acute angles and curves can sometimes be deemed as unfunctional. However, notice how the architect still uses 90-degree angles for functional or auxiliary spaces, such as closets, storage, bathroom, kitchen, and then acute angles are used for open spaces around the bedrooms. What this does is it creates more flexible spaces for users then to clean, vacuum, paint, and add furniture to. In my point of view, however, I don't think that this wall is really functional, as the closet will need to be custom made, which adds to the cost of the house. What you can do instead is add straight angles to the inside, which means that the client in the future can then choose a storage cabinet from anywhere and it will fit, and then switch them out if he needs to. This also shows that you don't have to like everything that is in your precedent studies, and you don't have to like everything that another architect have designed just because they're an architect. An underused roof space gave way to an angular crown, which the development team used parametric modeling software for, balancing budget, design, privacy, and views. This approach enabled flexibility at an optimal pace throughout the design phase and for the design of the prefabricated elements. This family home interior is defined by 360 degrees views, and maybe the most impressive of these is a view of the sky through a void. All of the living spaces have direct access to the outside through a series of balconies or gardens. Limited material and color palettes, they give this space a strength, and the white walls provide a background for an ever-changing display of shadows from the folded roof above. And if you like Daniel Libeskind, Frank Gehry, Zaha Hadid, and just deconstructivist architecture in general, you need to have a look at Plasma Studios. I know deconstructivist architecture may not be for everyone, however there's still lessons you can take from their projects to apply to your own project with your own style. Last but not least, the Underhill by Bates Macy Architects. Bates Macy Architects, they built a house where basic shapes and materials were celebrated, focusing on the Quaker ideals of simplicity, modesty, and internal focus. The house is divided into a series of simple gabled structure, each concentrating on its own garden courtyard with a roof light that brings natural light and air. The layering of spaces completely collapses the boundaries between exterior and interior, and each room has a two-sided outdoor view plus retractable walls that open entirely in several places. The team used a limited palette of materials to accentuate the geometric shape of each volume. The walls and roof were covered in shingles of grey cedar, another reference to settlements of Quaker. The weathered metal straps on the ceiling further reinforces this geometry and serves as an organizational tool for lighting. What strikes me the most about this project is that it has a completely different organization than what we are used to. We are used to compact houses that are joined together. However, this house is made from different shapes, different volumes, and then they are connected by exterior spaces or outdoor spaces. And I think that is something exciting and a little bit different than how we usually design. And that is all for today's video. Let me know which project was your favorite and why. Also leave in the comments down below a house design that you always find yourself coming back to year after year. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it because it really helps my channel grow. I'm Rasha Shorturl and I will see you next time.